All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. At this time, I would like to call to order the school board workshop of August 11th, 2026. And before I hand it over to Vice Chair Atkinson, I'd like to welcome our newest board member, Tony Smith. So welcome aboard.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you at your first official workshop. So now I guess we don't have any visitors because now you're sitting with us. So welcome aboard, and glad you're with us. All right, with that, I'll hand it over to Vice Chair Atkinson to run us through the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. The first thing that we have on the agenda today is the Cognia, and I'll pass this over to our superintendent, Mr. Vianello.
Mrs. Atkinson. So what a big day we have today. And it's going to start off with our guests from Cognia. So ladies, if I could invite both of you at the table along with Mr. Bedford. This is Dr. Jessica Swear and Sarah Dakotas. Thank you all for coming.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Nice to see you.
So, board, you hear me talk about culture all the time, the importance of culture to our organization, but we know that in order for us to achieve the goals that we set out to achieve, it takes more than just culture. We have to be operating in best practice. And so a few years ago, we started the process with Cognia to become district accredited. So we've completed that process. I believe they're going to share some good news, and I'll stop there so they can share what accreditation means and what that does for Charlotte County Public Schools. But I would like to thank them for their partnership. Bob Bedford and his division did an incredible amount of work to help facilitate the process. So we're excited, and I think when we're done here, if we could take a quick group picture, that would be fantastic. So ladies, thank you for, I would say that we did offer for them to do this virtually, but they knew how important this was, so they came. So thank you for being here in person.
Of course, we're so happy to be here. So yes, Sarah Dakotas, I am the Senior Director here for Cognia for the state of Florida. I'm joined by my esteemed colleague, Dr. Jessica Swear. She is the Florida's Accreditation Director. And so we'll just start with a little bit about who we are. So we are your partners in education. We are a forward-thinking, nonprofit, continuous improvement organization. We really value, inclusivity and engagement. Our mission is to serve as a trusted partner in advancing learning. So everything that we do is centered around this idea of continuous improvement, including how we approach accreditation. And so Jessica will go a little bit deeper into what that means. So Cognia has been around for 130 years. Can you believe it? We've had lots of different names. Sachs Casey, Advanced Ed. There's a whole timeline, but we are now known as Cognia. We are one of the only institutions that offers accreditation, not just nationally, but internationally. So we are in that's probably outdated, over 100 countries. And in the United States, we're in 40,000 schools and districts across the nation. So I mentioned before that everything we do is centered around this idea of continuous improvement, and that is also true for how we approach accreditation. And so we have this continuous improvement wheel, and the three big chunks of work when it comes to accreditation is you're conducting a self-assessment, and then you are engaging in an accreditation engagement review, and then you are monitoring your progress, and you're going to do that sort of in the mid-cycle when you offer us your mid-cycle progress report. So what it means to be system accredited. So oftentimes we get the question, how is the system accreditation different than a school? So the standards are the same, the rigor is the same, but when we are looking at a system, we are looking at the entire district. We are looking at how all of your schools are working together, policies and procedures you have at the district level, and how that trickles down and impacts individual schools. So let's talk a little bit about the standards. So our standards, there are 31 performance standards. These standards are research-based. We continue to do some action research on the standards. They continue to evolve as the years go by. So not only do we approach continuous improvement with our members, but it is also something that Cognia follows as well. So to date, we have 31 performance standards, and they are categorized under these 4 characteristics right here. So we have a few standards where we're really focusing on the culture of learning and the way that the district really supports a strong and supportive culture for all learners, as well as your staff and your teachers as well. Leadership for Learning, how you are empowering your pipeline of leaders that are up and coming, how you are empowering your current leaders, and how you are building their capacity to lead their buildings. We are looking at engagement of learning, which is how students and teachers are engaged within their curriculum, within the teaching, and within the learning that is taking place. And then growth in learning. This is where we're really also looking at how your students and your teachers are growing over time. So these standards are sort of what we approach every institution, whether you are a small private school or at a district level. It is what we use to guide our work in accreditation. And with that, we'll talk about what this means for Charlotte County. Jessica?
Thank you. I'm just gonna scooch over here. I feel bad to have my back to everybody. So I'm gonna change my position. So, and speaking of growth, congratulations on your A.
Yes.
The first A in 15 years is my understanding, and that is an incredible point of pride. So congratulations. I know that there was an incredible amount of work behind that to reach that achievement. So it's a great start to 26-27 school year, as well as my opportunity to have now to brag about how well you did with your accreditation engagement review. So of course, congratulations. Super, super excited for all of you. This is a fantastic step towards aligning your schools across the district. And the way I described it is kind of having everyone row in the same direction. You know, we all have the same standards that we're looking at, and we're all doing all this together because it's the village, right? All of our pre-K through 12, we all work together. So, so excited for you guys that you took this on. I know it was not an easy lift, but our evaluator, Rosemary Bell, which you know very well, I spoke with her this week, and I said, I have all these things from the report, but over time, she's continued to say, oh my gosh, Charlotte County, and I saw this, and they did this, and I said, can you just like put it together for me a little bit so I can go ahead and make sure that that is heard by everyone. So with your engagement review, of course, your start date is 2026, and it is a 6-year cycle of accreditation with, as Sarah had mentioned, a mid-cycle progress report that usually comes around year 3-4. So expiration is 2032. So I looked back at this statement that you guys made in, does this look familiar, Bob?
Yes.
In your candidacy review about your why and why you took this on. And it's a great statement, and that this is guiding all of your work. So there's lots of wonderful things that were noted in your report that you guys are doing well and that are very strong to support student achievement, which I have just listed the plethora of items there. But I would like to just, there's so much she put here too, almost as much as on that slide, but there's a couple of things I really wanted to point out. So Rosemary came out and visited twice, which I understand because like Charlotte County's so beautiful. It's the first time I've been here and it's beautiful. I was saying to my husband, we're gonna come back and do an actual trip. So thank you for having us in your beautiful county. So a couple of the things that she wanted to highlight is when she came out, she visited several schools, not only multiple interviews and lots of time working with the team, but there were several schools, and the Charlotte County High School students that are building the airplane hangar, she was like just jaw-dropping moment for her to see that, and it was just incredible. So she had an opportunity to see that in action, speak with the students and the school team, and love that. She also commented on the really positive rapport between the board and the whole team, and that you guys are all one, you're all together, and there's tons of collaboration and support. So that was huge. Also, she mentioned that your graduation rate rising to 91.6 huge point of pride again. So congratulations on that. It's very exciting. Also, your CTE pathways and your innovative programs, aerospace and aviation, cybersecurity, just really, really future, that future thinking and creating these CTE programs that, prepare students as they move forward into these careers in our nation and beyond. So really wonderful, innovative programs. And then, of course, the team, Bob and Lisa, just that you were exceptionally prepared, responsive, super organized. The whole process was really approached with integrity, and that as you saw in that statement that you made in the beginning, that desire for improvement and just to be stronger and better for all students and families. So amazing review. I'm so proud of you guys. This is just the beginning of so many years of partnership as we continue to support you and work as your partner in education. So thank you so much. There were a couple of areas here that have a long list of all the good things, and of course coming in as a third party and looking at all the systems and parts and how they work together, as Sarah mentioned in the previous slide. Looking at these three areas, just to continue, we as educators, we're always improving, and that's the mindset we're in, is continuous improvement. And so there's always room to become even stronger. So these are the three areas that were suggested to focus on. Refining and expanding some of your PD, looking at, more consistent implementation of student-centered practices, the prioritizing the learner-centered instructional practices, looking at student voice, informative progress monitoring, and higher order thinking, developing and implementing a more systemic process to evaluate instructional programs and resource allocation, and really looking at multiple sources of data to inform those decisions as you guys move forward. So, of course, what we follow, all of our whole foundation in Cognia is based around strategic thinking and improvement planning. This is the middle of everything that we do, the center of everything that we do. It's not just about a one-time, you come in, you earn accreditation. It's about continuing to improve and just become better and better and better. So we've divided into these 4 categories where you're envisioning, planning, implementing, and evaluating. And I know that you guys are probably going to be engaging in this soon with your strategic plan coming up. Many districts, when they first go through system accreditation, it's a natural occurrence that they would come together and look at their strategic plan after an engagement review and embed the feedback that you've gleaned from this. So with each of these phases, we have several steps. Looking at, imagining your possibilities. Of course, right now you're celebrating, and beginning of the year, great way to start communicating with your stakeholders, everything that you guys have accomplished, and bringing them into the fold as a community so that they can celebrate with you. And then, looking at your journey, looking at, where you're at now and where you guys are going in the future and what that looks like. Also, starting in that journey, building the momentum for your next directional, areas that you guys are going to sail towards. And, of course, reflection, evaluation, and adjustment, which was some of that feedback from the review. So, this is everything that's our foundation. There's a lot of accreditation organizations that it's just a one-time event. You earn accreditation. It's mostly compliance-based, but ours is all about continuous improvement. So we look forward to sailing with you on that journey into even more success in the future. So this was a cycle I talked about where you guys have that mid-cycle report, and the rest of it is just that everything's cyclical, as you will see. There's a pattern here that we believe in. Okay, Sarah.
All right, thanks. So we would like to invite you to continue to engage with Cognia within your 6-year cycle. And there are lots of things that Cognia offers beyond just accreditation. That's just that's our flagship service. But one of the ways that you can you can engage with Cognia is to attend our Impact Conference. We are taking proposals at the moment. We'd love districts to come out and share the work that's happening in their district. This is a statewide conference, so we have lots of people coming from the states in Orlando. If you'd like more information on that, Bob, please reach out and I'll make sure I get you the information that you need. But Orlando's not too far from here, right? So just come in for the day, do your presentation. It's a really great opportunity to showcase the work that you're doing. And what's more important to us is that it's an opportunity for you to help other members that are going through the same process and share your best practices as well. That's really the purpose of our Impact Conference. Obviously, we have a lot of professional learning that is designed around our performance standards, and these are provided to our members through various webinars. A lot of them are free, some of them are an extra charge because they're multiple days long. We also offer on-site professional learning as well. We will follow up with a professional learning catalog because it is an area of focus that was identified. You might find opportunities to further engage with Cognia and really develop those systems. There is a lot of STEM happening in Charlotte. So I don't know if you know, but Cognia does also offer STEM certification. And what we can do is we can align the certification date so it expires the same time your accreditation date is. It's not as heavy of a lift. There's only 10 standards. But our STEM certification is really designed for those systems or schools even that have a really strong STEM approach to education. STEM is really embedded in everything that they do. This is not for schools that have an after-school STEM program or an enrichment STEM program. This is for schools that are really taking it and running with it, and it's part of the school's unique identity. So I would invite you to have a conversation with us about that because it's a really great opportunity to showcase the work that you're doing here in Charlotte, especially the high schools that are really embedded into this. There's only 10 performance standards for STEM, and the process is very similar to how you would go through with accreditation. And then strategic thinking and planning. As Jessica mentioned, this is also a really great opportunity to also engage with Cognia. We do facilitate strategic thinking and planning, and because you just wrapped up a system-wide accreditation, taking those opportunities for improvement and really embedding it strategically in your strategic plan and coming up with actionable priorities and goals to help move that continuous improvement process forward is something we would love to partner with you on, but that is something that we also offer. A lot of people don't know this, which is why I always mention it, because people don't know, oh, you guys do strategic planning? We absolutely do. We can take the work off of the district and facilitate the process, and you guys would just obviously just provide us the content, and it's a collaborative effort, but we take a lot of the managerial stuff away from you. So you can really focus on your goals. And so with that, your success is our mission. And so we want to thank you again for your time this morning. Thank you again for all the work that you are doing for your students and your community. It really shows, and we really appreciate it.
So proud of you.
Yes.
Yay.
Yay.
Thank you for your time. Any questions?
I just have a comment.
Sure.
Thank you for a great presentation and being a part of this journey. I know it's never an easy process, but it's definitely a good process to go through. I guess I do have one question. A lot of things we're doing really well.
Yeah.
Which is great, but is there like anything in particular that really stands out that's really that top notch?
Well,
soar
if
above
there's
the
a
rest.
list.
Yes.
It's, I mean, you know, the culture, the leadership, you know, the strong leadership and governance and relationship that you have as you work together and collaborate, improves student outcomes, preparing students for future success, and applauding the team, of course, in the way that they approach this. But there were, and this is not with all districts, that there's this big list of areas that you're doing really well and excelling. So a lot of times I can say, it's really this area, culture or leadership, or but you guys knocked it out of the park, so
Awesome.
yeah.
I'd like to say congratulations to
Yes.
Bob and
Well,
Lisa and your team. I mean, great job. I know, like I said, I've been through that process several years ago. Through one of our high schools. It's a journey, that's for sure.
Yes.
It's well worth the effort and time, and I like the concept of the district-wide doing it as a district, so
Call
that
to Andy for STEM certification.
really makes sense.
Well, and then the other thing is we have a whole platform of tools that you have as a member that, we can talk about as you move forward, because we have tools for you to also embed to continue to improve, so, and they're part of your membership, so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think one of the takeaways that we had is when we included all the different stakeholder groups in it, especially with the principals and the admin teams at the schools, it was very evident to see where we still needed to improve. So when we got the results back, that wasn't a surprise. We self-identified, honestly, all those 3 areas to say, here's where we really need to do a better job to take it to the next level. And that's what you'll see in the next presentation, kind of what that looks like and how we're putting that into practice based on these results. So, and the schools know it too, so it's not some surprise that.
Yeah.
Good job.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, guys. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you, and enjoy the rest of your meeting and your lovely city.
No, we only have one city. You had to go to Punta Gorda. Only one city in the whole county.
You want to do it on that?
Happy New Year. All right, thank you. And next on the agenda, we have instructional framework, so I'll bring Mr. Bedford back up. Would you like to come up?
Yeah, I'm here. No, I closed it because it went, somehow we lost the connection.
So they're out.
I will say,
Or-
when we took Rosemary out to the airport hangar in Charlotte High School, it was probably raining the hardest I've ever seen it rain. And we still took her over there, and then we kind of got stranded because it started flooding and all that, but she loved it, so it was good to get her over there to see that space, but thank you. So today we're gonna, so good morning. Today we're gonna kind of give a recap of our performance from last year and then our next steps as we normally do in the August meeting. Some of this information or some of these slides you may have seen, but I've included some other ones that are actually pretty impactful, I believe. to it. So obviously, the first one is a look at 24-25 versus 25-26, and again, in 24-25, we gained a total of 20 points, so close to that A rating, which we didn't quite make, and then looking at 25-26, we gained an additional 39, so 59 points over 2 years. Obviously, that put us into the A category. And you can see kind of here, again, a highlight would be is that we did not decrease in any one area, went up in each one except for 3rd grade where we stayed a little, we stayed equal. So this is another way of looking at the data. This is how the state gives it to us. Again, here we were close to that A, and then here we made the A, again showing the 20.39 point increase. This is impactful. So this is the ESSA support categories over the years, starting at 21 and going to 25-26. ESSA represents our subgroups of students, whether it's ESE, free and reduced lunch, racial, ethnic backgrounds, all that. And so there's actually a federal index that says how do those kids perform over the categories that they're tested in. So at the elementary, they're tested over, 8 components, and at the high school. And they have to meet certain benchmarks. If you're below 41, so 41 is kind of the C range in the state. If those kids are below 41, they're pushed into a category that says you need to pay more attention to what's going on here. And so there are 3 different categories, CS&I being the category that says the same subgroup has been below 41 for more than 6 years, okay? And then an ATSI, and a TSI means you have subgroups below, but they haven't been there for as long as the 6 years. So what you can see is in 24-25, we had 13 different subgroups, 13 schools that had subgroups that were below 41%. This year, we only had 5. So that's a huge accomplishment with what we're doing with those subgroups to make sure we're meeting their needs as well as the needs of the general population. Again, if you look, we have 3 schools in CS&I. So we have the Academy, right, who unfortunately, because they don't have a lot of kids in a subgroup, those kids count so much towards that 41%. We have Charlotte Harbor, right? Again, same type of situation. And then the last one is Meadow Park Elementary with their ESE subgroup, because they used to be the ESE area. Now they're kind of getting out of that, but they're still not to that point yet. So they're very close though. And then the other 2 schools are not in the CS&I. They're just subgroups that those schools now obviously have to write into their school improvement plan how they're going to attack that subgroup. This is a good look at where we went with the number of schools. Again, in 2025, we had 9 A's, 5 B's, and 6 C's, and in 2026, we had 10 A's, 7 B's, and 2 C's. Whether or not they went up or down is indicated here. And again, overall, we only have 1 decline versus everyone else kind of increasing. Just on the Charlotte Virtual, we have appealed to the state. Again, it was a situation where they might have had 2 or 3 kids that were misidentified within their data. So the state said, yeah, you didn't meet the testing requirement. And we said, well, they shouldn't be on there because they left. There's a really small window of time that when they leave, they have to get off what the state believes they're there or not. So the state believed they were there when they tested and we didn't test them. We said they weren't even here when we tested. So we'll see when the state comes back probably later in this month. And again, we have the Academy and Charlotte Harbor. The Academy is commendable. Again, they were commendable the previous year, and then Charlotte Harbor is maintaining.
Can I ask something?
Yes.
So, I love all of this, but one thing that I think that you really need to be commended on is Babcock.
Yes.
Because Babcock was an A last year, and they were heading down a very deeper hole And you guys reached out to them to offer support, and that meant a lot.
Yeah, and we started earlier. Thank you for saying that. We started earlier this year. We've already reached out to them. We've already harassed them to adjust some of the things that we see. I will say that Babcock only missed it by 1% of getting an A. And so we're taking a more proactive stance with them at the beginning of the year to say, okay, have you scheduled all of your kids in the right areas and getting them those resources? So.
It speaks to the relationship that you have with Babcock too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. Again, some informational data that we've shared in the past, whether it's looking at PM2 to PM3 growth. Did we grow? Did we grow relative to the state? And again, what you're going to find in those areas where we're kind of flat, where we grew, but relative to the state also grew 12, we grew 12. Our goal is not to be equal with the state. Our goal is to be above the state. So we're continually working on those areas. Again, same type of thing, but just broken down into the other tests that are not PM generated tests with the EOCs. So same type of information. Again, you saw great social studies growth here, 6 points. Well ahead of the state relative to both the achievement and the growth. The science, again, not quite to where we want to be. We did grow, but not quite at the same rate as the state. So you'll see later on that is an area that we're really focusing on this year. And then obviously algebra, geometry, good growth for us, but yet not at the state level. So again, what are we doing in those areas to kind of perform at a higher rate than the state does. So really good data for our younger kids, and you can see here that as we look at, obviously there's 67 districts in the state. In the K, our star reading ranked 7th, our first grade ranked 16th, our second grade ranked 8th. Those are really positive numbers going into third grade from the second grade. So that our teachers are really getting it done there. And if you look at the background of what the state has done, there was a time when they didn't really pay a lot of attention to K2. And now they're paying a lot of attention to it. And so those resources have to be looked at as well. Who are we putting in those seats to get those kids to make learning gains in that? And so, again, here's kind of a look at the proficiency numbers. With K1 and 2, how are students doing? Well above the state averages in every category, that's very positive for us. Here's our component rankings in the 67 districts. And so I put some arrows in here to really highlight some key areas that the superintendent has talked about a lot. When you move from 55 over 2 years to 19 in ranking, 57 to 10, and 50 to 14, those are huge numbers. And that is really positive to see because we really concentrated on learning gains for every student. And so our teachers and our administrators are really focusing on that. And you can tell they're really paying attention to the individual students. You will see here, okay, we were flat in grade 3, which we knew we were. Science, we went backwards, and in college and career acceleration, backwards. So what we asked the schools to do was to identify areas that they needed to improve. So we identified areas, obviously, that we need to improve. But one thing I want to bring to light is when we went backwards relative to the state, meaning that other districts are kind of just doing a little bit better. They made better gains than we did. We still made gains in every single one of those areas. It just wasn't to the extent of the other schools. So we have to do a better job of making those gains. So in middle school acceleration, we did go from 74 to 77. College and career acceleration, we did increase 3 percentage points. And then in each of our science areas, we actually did increase every one of our science areas. But again, science is a focus because we didn't keep pace with the other districts.
Question, Bob. So I've had parents bring this up to me in the past. with like 8th grade science.
Yes.
Having 53% of our kids passing the test. People are
Yes.
like, well, are only 53% of your kids passing the 8th grade science class? And I'm like, well, 8th grade science test covers 6th, 7th, and
It
8th
does.
grade.
It does.
So if there was any
Yes.
mixed material somewhere along the lines when they came in, is 5th grade the same way too? Does it
Yes,
cover?
absolutely.
Okay, so I think it's important people know that it's
Mhm.
not just
Right.
8th grade science and they're
Right.
passing. It's there are 3 years of content that they're covering in
That's
that
correct.
test in 8th grade.
So for us, the curriculum maps that you're gonna see in a minute of what we did, it was very important that we really take the most important 3rd grade standards and then how do we circle back to those with 4th grade when they're not necessarily covered in 4th grade and then in 5th grade when those aren't covered as well. Same thing for 6, 7, and 8. And so yes, that is there, and then the other thing that we have to be aware of is, ELA and mathematics has really been the focus at the elementary level. So there's big blocks of time that are dedicated to that, and sometimes that science and social studies side gets compressed because maybe the class doesn't go how it should, and so they run over into. So we're being more intentional on our expectation within that science world and the resources we give them and how can we help them teach? Because that may not be their strong suit in teaching that. And you'll see that with what we're doing here in science. So with all good things, we have to have change. And so obviously the state has said too many people are A's and B's and we need to change the game. We're used to that, so it doesn't really affect where we're going. We wanted to be better at what we did than we were last year regardless, so our plan didn't change. And we believe we have a very good plan, but if you look here, elementary new grading scale will be 65 versus the 62 to be an A. At the middle school, it's 65 versus 64, not so much movement there. And then the high school in combinations and districts went from 65 to 70 to be an A. The biggest impact this has is that the B went from a 65 to a 69. So right away, anyone that was a B last year is probably, they wouldn't be a B this coming year. So what we have done, well, I'll cover next steps because it's in my next steps. So what are our next steps? The instructional plan rollout. If we look at the instructional plan, I don't know if any of you got a chance to look at this. This is kind of a combination of what Cognia told us we needed to do, what our research around the state was, where we had started with Hattie and Marzano and all the different gurus of education and how students learn. So this instructional plan is 42 pages long. We went through this plan with every admin team, principal and assistant principal, and this really kind of outlines what we need to do to take it to the next level. And so this plan is here, and it covers everything from what walkthroughs look like, what team meetings look like, what the strategies look like. All of that is contained in this document. We took 2 days to train the administration on this, and then on the end of day 2, we actually had them do the school improvement plan. The gist of that whole plan is that each school had to identify a high yield strategy that they would take on as a school. Every teacher. How do we make this high yield strategy? And so if we look at the high yield strategies, basically what you have is you have Deep Creek took on monitoring and feedback, right? East Elementary differentiation. They could choose from one of 4 high yield strategies. And the thing about these high yield strategies is they should be seen every day in the classroom, no matter what subject you're teaching. So they're not relative to an ELA class or a math class or a science class or a social studies class. It's good instruction, so we should be seeing this strategy used every single day in every subject. And so this is the list of what each school chose. Why is that important? Well, first and foremost, they're going to work on being better at that strategy, every teacher. So the PL they have for early release dates needs to be around that strategy. The PL that we provide from the district to them, the resources, we need to know what they are so we can get them the different tools they need to have these be effective in the classroom. So that's the list of what they chose. That's what they're taking to their SAC committees to say, here's what we're working on this year for the first 45 to 50 days, and I'll get to that in a minute. And so then when we come in as the district and we do our walkthroughs, we can look for those strategies too to see if they're being implemented in the classroom, right? So every time the principal goes in, assistant principal, the coach, CNIs, the district leadership team, we can go in and know that, okay, in East, I should see differentiation at some point pretty quickly within this lesson. I should see that. I should see that some kids are getting some information in some a different way because that's differentiation, differentiating that instruction. So the school improvement plan. So obviously they're focused on the high yield strategies and they're 45 to 55 day plans. So they've written a plan, they're telling us what they're gonna work on. And what we're going to do is at the end of that 45 or 55 days, depending on the calendar, we're gonna come in as a district team and we're gonna walk those classrooms with those administrators and we're gonna look specifically for those strategies being used. And then we're going to say, okay, is everyone using it at a really high level? Are some teachers at a high level, but some teachers are still, or is it a real low level? And then we're basically gonna brainstorm on, do we need to stick with the strategy, right? And if we do, what do we need to do to make it better so we have all teachers functioning at a high level with that strategy? Or do we have enough teachers, we believe all of our teachers are using it at a high strategy, let's move to a different strategy. Does that make sense? So that's a team approach. It's not just on the school to decide. We come in, we do the walkthroughs, we sit with them that day, we have conversations about what we saw, the good, the areas for improvement, and then we create another SIP plan for another 45 to 55 days. The other thing that we do with that is after we've done this walkthrough and we decide where we're going, they're gonna come in front of us and they're going to talk to us about their data, right? Because right now, when we look at that, we're only looking at the strategy and how it's being used. Then they're gonna come back and talk to how that data looks relative to using that strategy. How does my data look in ELA? How does it look in math? How does it look in science, social studies, with the different progress monitoring that we do? What does that look like? And then how are they adjusting what they do to make that data better? If you remember last year, we made a change at the end of the semester. And we said, everyone look at learning gains and here's your data. We're trying to do that now at the 45-day mark. What does it look like? What are you doing for those kids who aren't making these benchmarks or standards? So we're just trying to get ahead of it as much as we can before someone falls too far behind. And then we have the walkthroughs, and this was a big adjustment as well. This is a district-wide walkthrough tool. So every single school, every single person that walks through from the district level or the school level should be using this form. This is a hard copy of it, but we have it electronically done so they can do it on the Google form. And what you would see with this document, and I know I'm getting pretty small, sorry, is that first we want to look at the professional learning community, the PLC. That is where teachers plan for what they're going to do in their classrooms, but they don't plan alone. They plan as a group relative to the data and the students and how they're performing in their class. So PLC should be happening once a week. They should be bringing data to the table. The teacher should be on the same page of where they're at with the pacing, and they should say, hey, I had a group that didn't do well in this. How your group, okay, what did you do for them? Okay, what's next steps? And what are we gonna do this next week so that those students get those benchmarks or standards better? So that is at the base of everything we do. One of the things that Cognia had us do a lot of was the 5 whys, right? Root cause analysis and the 5 whys. And so we actually had the schools do root cause analysis to their data not being good in a certain subject. What did it all boil down to? Almost 100% of the time, your PLC, and the fact that the planning to the intentionality of what your students needed as a group was probably not where it needed to be. So the PLCs are kind of, we are taking a big focus on PLCs. So when I talked about the strategies, which you would see, there's 4 strategies: standard-based instruction, monitoring and formative assessment, engagement, participation, and differentiation. So those were the 4 that they could choose from, because we said, no matter what, we're going to be looking at PLCs, because they are the basis of everything that we do. The 6th one is learning environment, which is the classroom. We're all obviously going to be looking at that as well, right? A mismanaged class, kids can't learn, that's important as well. So those are off the table. You're not going to focus on those. You're going to focus on those every single day, because that's just good. That's just good instruction. So the PLCs and the learning environment are built in, and then they had to choose one of the 4. You'll see here that within one, like standards-based instruction, we have 3 different areas that they can focus on. We've created a walkthrough guide that tells them what they can expect to see in those areas. That's part of the instructional excellence plan that I showed earlier. There's a whole page for standards-based instructions on if they do a walkthrough and they see one of these things, they can say, okay, I see that it's going on. Part of that, we have to train, right, the admin teams to understand that a little bit faster. But we have cheat sheet guides that we've created for them, so when they walk in, whatever their strategy is, they have this kind of cheat sheet so they can kind of get used to how that looks and how they can mark that. But again, if the CNIs come through, they're going to use this as well. And everyone in the district, that is a district-wide walkthrough tool.
Obviously, you said the teacher is being trained on what the walkthroughs, like it's done evaluation.
Yes.
What they're gonna be looking for specific to their school, okay.
Yeah, so what's very important with what I'm talking about right now, this is a system-wide approach to a high-yield strategy, not a teacher approach to, so we don't allow them to put the teacher's name down. We don't collect that data. We collect data from the school and the district doing walkthroughs without teachers' names. The principal and the assistant principal have the ability to go to a different tool and fill it out based on what they saw from an evaluative standpoint, right? Because you have to mirror them somehow. Teachers don't like when you walk into their classroom, they do something great, and then you say, no, I can't count that, right? You want the opposite. So we've created a separate tool that then the administrator can go in, give feedback to the teacher, but based on the evaluation side, not how the strategy is being utilized. And that was a very important decision to make, so teachers understand with all these people coming in and out, some of it could be evaluative if it's the principal or the assistant. Everyone else, it is strictly looking at just the strategy and just what does the school need to do the strategy better. Does that make sense? Okay.
Hey Bob, I like the idea of the school focus, like the middle schools, looks like most of them picked engagement and participation. So
Right.
it gives the building leaders an opportunity to collaborate outside of their school.
Absolutely.
Say, hey, what's working over there, this is what's working over here, so I like the idea of that engagement
Right.
outside of the building, so that's good.
Thanks. And one thing we noticed early when we started doing kind of these walkthroughs 2 years ago was what a student's doing in 5th grade and what that classroom looks like versus the 6th grade classroom were completely different. They were just not aligned. So, and it really focused around engagement, right? They go from like group tables in 5th grade and talking to one another to rows and don't talk and, raise your hand if you know what I'm saying? And that is in itself engagement. And how are you getting the students to talk to one another about what they're learning, not just listening to you as the teacher? And so we're constantly working on that. So, all right. And then we have the curriculum maps, which was an important summer feature. We brought in We allowed teachers to sign up if they wanted to be part of producing the curriculum maps. We spent lots of money that Marcus let me have to really have these curriculum maps done with our CNI. So what we have now, if you were to go to ClassLink, you would see a link to curriculum and instructional support K2. Obviously, our team is there, but under our team, you can click on, the resources. So what we wanted, we wanted consistency and alignment from our division, right? So everything looks the same, whether it's ELA or math or science and social studies. So that was number one. Number two was we wanted a resource for a teacher to be able to find stuff quickly and provide it to them so they don't have to hunt for it. And so that's what we've done. And, this is on there for them to see. All of this information, videos, lessons, everything right there. It is our expectation that they talked about alignment and Cognia, and understanding the system so that we can make better informed decisions. Part of that is being aligned initially when you do it. So don't veer off the path, right? Because when we collect the data, we need to understand that everyone's tried to use the same resource, because we need to figure out if the resource is valuable to what we're doing. So these were done over the summer, and they did a great job with them, and teachers have access to that resource right now. Obviously, what the PLC, I mentioned how important the PLC was. Our administrators were trained in PLCs. Mark actually attended the PLC. He was only going to attend for a little bit. He came back when he was done with the meeting because of how good, one, the trainer was, but two, what the information was that they were getting, so they understand the importance of it. Part of it too is PLCs are not 100% running where we want them to be. Sometimes they come in and they just want to talk about the bad students they have and how can this be and all that. That is not a PLC. A PLC is you have 40 minutes to kind of get in, look at the data. Where are you? Okay, where are we going? What do we need to do to meet the needs of every student? And then obviously our professional learning focus, which again was identified in Cognia. We have the iReady professional learning. As you know, we brought on iReady for K-5. And so we have an implementation guide. Again, this is one of those alignment areas that we are being very strict on this year. Well, gosh, there's lots of resources. I want to let my kids work at home. Nope, your kids aren't working at home. Because that's not what we're looking at right now, right? We also know that there's a component of iReady that says kids on the computer, right, for too long is not good. So iReady says in order for this to be most effective, 40 minutes per week, any one student. That's in K through 5. That's in ELA. Math would be a separate 40 minutes, right? So a total of 40 minutes in ELA, 40 minutes in math for the week, which is less than 10 minutes a day. So we have the ability to monitor how long kids are on those computer programs, so they can't do it at home. That's not effective. Sticking them on the computer is not effective. So we have the implementation guide, and again, one of the things we have to do right now is we have to, principals will call them and be like, hey, I learned there's this great tool and I'm ready and we want it. Nope, we haven't rolled it out yet. Relax. Use what we gave you, right? We'll go through, we'll look at it, and we'll release it when it's time, but we need to see that data, and this is coming from iReady, and we said, with the superintendent, we said, when we're spending this amount of money on iReady's done it. They're going to tell us the implementation plan we're going to follow. So that's our implementation plan for iReady. Our science is a focus, and within that, what we decided to do is we decided to take the STEM classes that are at the elementary level, and 50% of their time have to be supporting the science test through alignment of curriculum that Andy Green, who is our science CNI, is producing. So she met with them on their own last week when we had some PL, and they're super excited. We're giving them some resources, so they will just be enhancing the access to that science curriculum through the STEM classes, which was not something that was done prior. So we're excited about that. And then the C-School plan. If you recall, last year we had a C-School plan that said, hey, here's how we're going to support a C-School. That hasn't changed, but what we've done is we've said, you know, we only have 2 C-Schools right now, but if we were under next year's grading, we actually have 6. So we're treating those 6 schools as C-Schools, right? So we look at their resources a little bit more involved. We get Marcus, we get Adrian involved on, you know, some of the decisions we make at those schools. I think Marcus was just telling me today that Peace River should lose 2 teachers right now based on numbers, but we're only fluid. But right now it's only 1 because we're going, you know, okay, they need a little bit more support, right, with those students. So those are the types of things that we look at when those schools want additional support. Whew, that is it. I know. Mr. Harvey's like, you always talk too much. Yeah, I know. Everyone tells me. Questions for me? Questions for me?
Can you talk about professional learning communities as far as what that looks like, grade level versus subject based?
Yeah, so at the elementary, it would be grade level unless you departmentalize. Then it would be by subject. At the secondary, it's almost entirely by subject. What we told the principals of secondary, because I'm sure, John, if you said all your people are going to do PLCs, it's just a different concept, more so for the secondary. And finding that time, which is normally in planning time, but doing a master schedule around that being available is difficult. So some do it before or some do it after school. We've told them right now we're going to really focus on the tested areas, so get those PLCs up and running, more so than just everyone, because that's we don't need them spending time in areas that aren't as impactful to the students as the tested areas are, the ELA, math, science, social studies. So right now, they're all getting their schedules for me so that I can send my team out to look and to just see what's going on. Where do you need additional resources with the PLCs?
And who leads a PLC? Is it like a coach or is the department chair? Like who is like the one that?
Yeah, so it would be the department chair of the teacher. So it's a teacher-based PLC, right? So the coach is there for support, the admin is there for support, but they shouldn't be leading it because it really should be. We give them, an agenda if they want to use an agenda. We've created one. Here's a good agenda for a PLC so they can stay on task. And it's basically product driven. At the end of the PLC, you should have a product, and the product should be, what are we doing next week or what are we doing this week, depending on when the PLC is. What is it that we're doing that we can then come back and talk about real quick on how it went, and then talk about the next section or the next benchmark or standard that we have to cover. So, yeah, it's good. It's, we're not there 100%, but the importance of it, again, it can't be overstated. It is the root of everything we do is wrapped around that, and really taking on the approach that these are our kids, not just my kids. Right, you're a team. Right. So, any other questions?
Comment, the shift at semester from going focus on from proficiency to learning gains was a big, bold step, because it was always proficiency, but the focus on every student makes a learning gain has really, expanded the proficiency. So I think that's great. Maybe we could do learning gains plus or something like that. But that was big.
Just throw a little more at it, Bob. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think as Mark and I went through the data chats, because again, data chats are not going away. They're probably going to be a little bit more intense in all reality because of our expectations and what we need to do. But what we found with those, which were very positive, was that we didn't have an alignment of what people were looking at, what they were using to determine data, all of that. And so it really became important, like the learning gains at the end of the first semester, how do we bring that back to an earlier time without over-testing, right? And the state says you're limited to how much you can test a student from a district standpoint. So now we're doing 9-week assessments, common assessments. We've gotten rid of the EOC with Mastery Connect, so that we can kind of say at the 9 weeks, let's take a district look at where we're at. But our expectation is that those tests that they're giving each week or every 2 weeks, whatever their schedule is, that they're kind of looking at that in the PLC to say, how are my kids doing on these benchmarks and who's struggling and who's not? The dashboard, again, which we'll show at a different time, will really contain some information for admins and for the district to really kind of monitor those kids faster and at more of a micro level.
It forces the teachers to know every student.
Yes.
Keep track of their data.
Yes. And the other thing that I thought was real positive that we did last year, which got a lot of traction, was if the student's already getting help with MTSS, if they're already getting help because they have an IEP or a 504, I mean, we're not forgetting about those students, but we're also not fixating on those students. We're really looking for those students who are coming every day that just aren't, they're sitting in front of us and for whatever reason, they're not engaged and they're not getting the information that we need them to get.
Make a comment or two. So to Bob's last point, that, all means all, every student, to your point, Mr. Chair, if we focus on learning gains and if we do a good job with learning gains, then proficiency is going to take care of itself. And so that's what we've been working on the last few years, and provide Bob I'd like to give him a compliment. We can't just hope that we're going to get better. We can't just cross our fingers and wish our way to better achievement results. You have to have a plan, and really the work that Bob and the Department of Learning implemented as a team effort with all of our principals and the district leadership team, it has been transformational over the past few years. And so there's a reason you're seeing our data trending in the right direction. It's because of the work that we're collectively doing, led by the Department of Learning. So Bob, thank you for all of your efforts into what you're doing.
I do have one question for you. The Instructional Excellence Impact Tool, how long have we been using that?
First year.
First year.
So, and I thank you for bringing that up. So what I explained to principals, because principals like to get into a routine of, okay, here's what I can expect and here's what I need to use and all that. And we've been building towards it. So I said to them, okay, here's the culmination of what we've done the last 2 years. So bits and pieces of that excellence plan, we've already done the coaching side of it, the PLCs we started. Going forward next year, it's just a refinement of that plan. We're not breaking out a different plan or something. This is our plan going forward, but you can't just jump into it in year one because there was so much change. So how do you, it started with the coaches and getting coaches into the classrooms. Year one, I can tell you, teachers were like, I don't need no coach in my classroom. I'm fine. And year two, they were like, oh, I see the value. Can you come in and help me, right? PLC started last year. So this year, we expect a big jump in how PLCs operate because they were just learning about them last year. So when we implement this tool this year, we'll have a little bit of a growth pain into it. I would assume, I'm not expecting it to go off without a hitch, but with that being said, next year, we're really not going to change or come at them with some different plan or anything. Here's the plan. We're just refining it and we're moving forward to it because we believe it captures what we need to capture over the years to just perform at a higher level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and so is this being utilized once a year then, or is that, like, how often is that?
No, so the plan is in motion pretty much every 45 to 55 days. And so what happens is right now, every school knows what strategy they're working on. The PL department is getting with each school to say, what resources do you need for the first early release day so that you can talk about that and teach your teachers about that strategy and how they can better utilize it, what it looks like, examples, modeling, all of that. We meet with the coaches to talk about what strategy they're using so the coaches at each school understand that strategy very well. So when they go in to help the teacher, they're helping that teacher wrap around that strategy. So we do that for the first 45 days. Then somewhere around the 35th or 36th day, the district comes in, with the partnership with the school, and we walk all the tested areas, and we're looking for that strategy. We come back, we say, is it working? Is it not working? What do we need to do? The schools say, yeah, here's where we see it, and here's what we want to do. Okay, write it up again. There's another SIP plan. So that instructional excellence plan is a fluid, nonstop plan with 3 separate views into what they're doing. Does that make sense? Right. So we don't want it to be a one and done, shelve it. There's nothing being shelved here. This is a constant look at that instructional plan. So as far as we gave them recommendations on their instructional team meetings. So the principal has to meet with their coaches at least, they should meet weekly. They all chose weekly. I kind of pushed them to weekly, I'm not gonna lie. But they should be meeting weekly with their coaches to just talk about the instruction at the school, not about MTSS. They have a meeting for that. That is important. Not about PBIS. Again, important, but not in this meeting. This meeting is about how are our teachers instructing our kids? Where do we need to improve? Who do we need to concentrate on? What are the trends we're seeing? So there's an agenda on what they need to talk about when they're in these instructional team meetings with the coaches. Then we also have, I just lost my train of thought. We also have when an administrator does a walkthrough, what are the questions they should be asking themselves when they leave that classroom? Do we need additional support to that teacher? Did I see something that I can praise the teacher on, or that I need to get a coach in there for? What are my next steps once I view what's going on in the classroom? What are my next? That's all in the instructional excellence plan. So, yeah, it was a big rollout. That's why we made it mandatory that they came with their admin team so that they understood it. They have access to an electronic copy. We'll continually go over it at principals meetings. And then there's this accountability side, which they haven't quite had at this level. So we did talk about, micromanagement versus accountability and what those two things look like, because we have high expectations, but we're also going to have the high accountability. So again, nothing bad. We're working with the schools first year, we understand, but we do have the high expectation that they're going to utilize this plan.
So is the continued improvement leading to less resistance from them now? They're starting to.
Yes.
At first, when you talked to some of the
Yes.
teachers, it was not real.
No,
positive.
that is correct. And I think that the results drove that a little bit, right? They see, oh gosh, okay, I guess I understand it, right? And again, with Matt and Sheila, them coaching the admin teams, we had a very young admin team, right? Our administration team 2 years ago was probably the majority of them had less than 3 years experience being principals or APs in that role. And so there you have to coach them through, what their expectations need to be for their teachers and what happens when they get resistance because now they're coming in and saying, I want a lesson plan. I want you to turn in a lesson plan. What do you mean? We never had to turn in lesson plans before. It's okay. Something you already do. We'll help you out. Here's resources. You have the curriculum maps. I mean, that's a lesson plan into itself written for a teacher. You have your PLCs to help you write the lesson plans, right? It's all intertwined. And so when we did the original PowerPoint with them, we showed how it was all tied back. Everything was tied back to being intertwined. Nothing stood on its own. Everything aligns to the system, right? We are a school system, not a system of schools. So, as Mr. Superintendent said.
My favorite lines I've ever
Yes,
heard.
exactly.
Yeah, so true.
Exactly. All right, I could talk about this forever. So, any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
All right, not a problem.
Okay, the next item, any district updates? Okay. School board committee assignments.
Welcome.
So can I say that? Okay, so there's one on here, the YMCA Board of Directors, which I know Kim was on. I don't know if they want another board member, but I do have a little bit of pause with that, just because they do have charter schools, and I don't know if they ever plan to have a charter school in Charlotte County, but that might be a bit of a conflict to be sitting on a board that could potentially want to bring a charter school to Charlotte County while being on the school board. So that might be one that I don't know if we should.
They are involved with a couple of our preschool programs.
Yeah.
And I do think we need to at least monitor what's happening there, I mean.
Yeah, but
I
Boys and Girls
appreciate-
Club, I mean, there's a lot of other ones that do too, and there's a lot of preschools and PPK programs.
Right,
Yeah.
but we're also on the advisory board for the
Yeah.
Boys and Girls Club, is what I'm saying. Because of the fact that we've still got our fingers, if it comes to the point where they say we're going to, maybe then we take the step back and say, okay, at this point, we feel there's a conflict. As long as they're monitoring some of our preschool programs, I'd like to have some involvement with myself.
Well, and actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was one of my questions about, because I've been on the Boys and Girls Club board for the last 13 years, but I know a school board member is not really required, so I didn't know that about the YMCA.
That was a newer thing.
Yeah, that would, yeah,
We didn't always have that.
no, so that's why I don't even know if they,
If you would like, I can reach out to the YMCA, maybe get some feedback. and-
see if they're looking for another replacement even, cause they may not, so.
I'm fine with that.
and-
I'm,
and
Where do
then
they hold
I'm
their
always
board
happy to have
meetings?
less committees, but
Where do they hold their board meetings, in Sarasota?
Venice.
Venice,
Yeah.
Venice. Yeah, how about, so what we could do is we could maybe, if someone is interested in putting their name in there, and then, once I contact, we'll have some
well, I can trust
conversation
you
with
that Hickman and
YMCA.
Carlo will want somebody, I mean,
Yeah.
tell you, they're
Yeah.
gonna want somebody, they're gonna want that involved. That doesn't mean that it's yin and yang. I'm not saying, because I obviously don't wanna drive to Venice, but if I have, if it's necessary, I'll do it, because I'm the closest one.
Okay.
So,
So does that sound like a plan? So, sounds like Bob Seeger is a volunteer for that. And once I have, unless you wanna have that conversation, or I can reach out to the
You know,
YMCA.
I mean, you're close with,
yeah, well, I'll reach out to Dave, that's the direct contact I have, and I'll see what he thinks.
Okay.
I've
Report
been
back.
also Dave Wampler's at the regular, Rotary meetings, I can ask Wampler as well, so that's three of the major, at least on that side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Three of the major board members.
Okay, that sounds like a good plan.
All right, Kim was also on the Punta Gorda Chamber Board of Directors on the GA, on their governmental affairs.
Okay.
Would you like to? take
I've
that?
never had any contact with Punta Gorda. Can.
Okay.
Sure.
Is everybody okay with that one?
Yes.
Tony's name on that. And the legislative liaison.
I'm happy to take that on, thank you very much.
And I'll have,
We're happy to
be
allow you to take that.
out and am I still, and I'll still be the alternate for that.
For the legislative liaison?
Is there?
No.
I don't believe there is an
Yeah,
alternate.
no,
There
that's
is
the,
an alternate
that's
on
the
that.
advocacy.
You're talking
Okay.
about this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Thank goodness.
All right. Do you want to go, should we go through these and explain to Tony what each one
Yeah,
of
let's
these
do
are?
that, that's probably a good idea.
Okay, so the first one, Boys and Girls Club, John.
Obviously, that's, I've been part of that program for the last 13 years, so it's just something that, it's a good program, obviously, that we want to be involved in, because they do a lot of the reading program, tutoring and stuff like that, but that's not really part of what the board does. It's not chartered that we participate.
Yeah, some of these are chartered where we have to participate.
So I
Some are
think,
just-
I actually think Chris is probably gonna take that on.
Yeah.
Since it's really for me, since it's not really required.
And then we have the Charlotte County Board of Directors, the Chamber, and you're aware of that as being past president, how we like to have the Charlotte County Chamber likes to have somebody from each governmental entity, and John takes care of that one.
Yep, so I'm a ex officio on that board, but also Mark participates in the government, governance committee, so, yep.
Governmental affairs. And the Charlotte Harbor Environmental Center,
So this is my fourth year on that. I think I took it over from Kara. So that I would, since it's in Punta Gorda, like South Punta Gorda.
I was gonna say, I live the ranchette, so that's right on Jones Loop, so that's really close to where I am.
Perfect. And then
So
we can
we'll
get
put-
together and I can kind of fill you in and maybe I can introduce you.
And that meeting's, it says Tuesday at 4:30?
Yes, it's still Tuesdays, but they changed it to the first Tuesday, I think. So I'll confirm with you and then we'll get you started on that. Appreciate that. Thanks.
all right, Bob?
I have been the advisory board for the Charlotte Technical Center for 14 years, and presume I'll do so for the next 2.
He's not giving that one up. They feed him sometimes, so.
That's my senior Deutschland.
Yeah.
But,
Well, the key there is meets quarterly too, so.
but it also, it does give, obviously, because Brian's in charge of that particular program now, there's hands-on as well. But I do think that the rest of the board likes to hear input occasionally from the actual board representatives to what's going on in order to promote the things that they're involved in as a board. And they like that assurance that as a board, we're behind the decisions that are being made going forward with the vocational, or excuse me, the technical college.
So can you tell them a little bit about about the advisory boards, like culinary has an
How
advisory
food are
board?
they serving?
How
It depends on-
electrical and aviation has an advisory
Well,
board?
we're back to the or twice monthly dinners, so you can.
Is that the buffet?
Yeah, the buffet. But basically, there'll be different, and there'll be minimum presentations within it from time to time as well, some different programs, whether it be HVAC or whether it be now the new electrical program that's up and running, obviously the culinary, and once in a while we even have the EMTs there that show us a little bit with the CPR on occasion, which we may need. But there's always a variety of things there to offer you input as to the different programs that they're immersed in. They open the doors for you to come in anytime you want to see one of the particular programs in operation with the training and what have you. The doors are always open for you and be involved hands-on to see what we've got to offer. And it's good for when you go out in the community and you're promoting those particular programs, a good idea to be able to tell them, well, here's what we've got here or there or what have you with that. So it's good knowledge to have.
And then the community action?
CLAF, so that's Charlotte Local Education Foundation.
Oh, I
They're
I apologize.
partners really with the district. They do a lot of fundraising for the district for events and things that we want to put on, Teacher of the Year event. They're the ones who do all the fundraising, the money passes through them. I am not a voting member. Mark usually sits in, gives a report over the district as well. Just trying to keep that partnership going strong, and really they've become a much stronger partner of ours in the last couple of years, so they're great.
They provide a set of scholarships to some of
Take
our
stock,
neediest students.
Take stock in students, so students apply 8th grade year with their guidance counselors. Students who are financially challenged who want to go to college, that's their goal. They complete a mentorship program with an adult over their 4 years in high school, and when they graduate, they get a 2-year scholarship to college. So it's a great program, so that's a big part of what they do. The Charlotte Local Education Foundation and Take Stock in Children.
And I've been to the wedding of one of my mentees and what have you. That relationship goes on long after they leave.
Yeah, and so you'll be invited to their graduation, a couple other little events they do throughout the year too, so if you can make those are always good. And then the Community Action Agency Advisory Board, that is a county-wide board, and they need representation from the school board. Commissioner sits on it, property appraiser's on it, city council's supposed to be there, but they never show up. And basically, they're in charge of the grants that come in, federal and state grants that help with housing, paying electric bills for people, but they have to have this community action board to oversee it and vote on things. So, and we've also done a lot with the Family Services Center through there. We oversee who gets to go in as leasing partners in there and those types of things. So that's been a really good one as well.
And then Englewood Chamber?
Englewood, same as any other chamber, we just try to make ourselves available to let them know how involved and supportive we can be of them and they of us. It's just the standard is what goes on. The same thing with the Charlotte or the Punta Gorge chambers.
Then the advocacy, so Florida School Board Association, there's a lot of different committees you can sit on. The advocacy committee is one that every district sends representation to, and we picked for me to be the advocacy rep a few months ago, which I've done in the past. Basically, we just kind of we're involved in, as session kind of gets going, advocating on behalf of public schools in the state of Florida with our legislative members. So we do that. That meets often, especially as season heats up. And then board of directors. Wendy's been our board of director. We rotate the board of director position. Oh, am I going too fast?
No, I'm just crossing my name off here.
So that's Florida School Board Association again. So there's, how many director seats are there? 30 something?
Right, they
Yeah.
break it down by,
Area.
pretty much like student count in area. So some of the smaller districts up in the Panhandle, they might have, 5 districts, but they have one member, one school
seat,
board,
yeah.
one seat at the board. Charlotte County always shares with Sarasota, and the way we've done it in the past, but you have to have a majority membership of your board as a member of Florida School Boards Association. So Sarasota and Charlotte County would go back and forth every 2 years. They would have sit on, somebody from their board would sit on the seat, and then would go to Charlotte and back and forth. Right now, Sarasota does not have a majority membership of FSBA, so Charlotte County has held that board seat for, I don't know, the last 5 or 6 years maybe.
Probably look for the foreseeable future.
We'll see what happens with their
Possibly.
elections, yeah,
Right,
yeah.
so their election, this could change, but we just, Kara just came on as the new board, they just had the elections for District 26. And so she'll hold that position for 2 years, John's her backup. And then if they have majority membership, then they'll hold that seat with somebody as their alternate from their board. And then we just talk to each other
We
about.
just make decisions for Florida School Board Association, for the organization, so. Alright.
Okay, and the next thing is the Florida School Board Insurance Trust, that's FSBIT, it's what I usually call it. And that is, FSBIT handles all of our property and casualty insurance programs for self-insured. And we have, I don't know, it's like, I wanna say 10 or 13 other districts. 13 districts in our, in
Come a
FSBIT.
long way.
It's come a long way, and they are talking to some other districts as well. Marion County's being one of them, and I think Lake County is interested in joining FSBIT, and we just share the risk.
Do a third or fourth.
Mhm.
Do a third or fourth.
What, in FSBIT?
Well, we were one of the earlier ones, I do believe.
That I don't know, that was when Lee Swift was on the board, Lee was very involved in FSBIT. So,
Kara, since I'm pretty good at being alternate for stuff, would you?
I would love it if
Would
you were
you
the
like to be
alternate,
okay?
thank you, John.
you're gonna be the alternate for FSBIT now?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah,
to my alternate
that's
list.
so nice of you, thanks. I mean, I can't count, it's fine, it's fine.
Okay.
Give me about a year and a half, I'll be able to do
Okay,
it.
so we'll put John down. And then the Greater Florida Consortium of School Boards.
We hear a little about that here in just a couple of minutes, but we spoke briefly about it when you and I met. Basically, it's, currently there are 11 counties or districts that are involved in it. It's always fluid. Some leave, some come back, some change. But it is a group of coastal districts that have some things in common, a lot of things not in common, for sure, because we are the smallest or second smallest of that particular group. Martin County and us are pretty close in size. My own feeling is what we get for it, for our membership fees, a whole lot of lobbyists in Tallahassee for a relatively reduced amount. And the other thing I like about the particular program is, you'll hear in a couple of minutes, is that if we don't like something in the legislative plan, we have as much voice as Miami in pulling it out of there. We have total veto power, the same as Miami-Dade or Broward or West Palm Beach, no matter how big they are. So even though we're smaller, at least at that level, we have the same equivalent voice of them. And my own feeling is that we get extra lobbyists for a reduced amount is what I think we benefit from.
And then Gulf Coast Partnership.
So we're required to participate or have a board member on their policy council, so we meet once a month and we really.
Yeah, no, Gulf
That's a good
Coast.
start. Gulf Coast
Oh, I
Partnership is
skipped
fun.
Gulf Coast Partnership is
thank you.
basically a program that works primarily on our homeless and our kids in need, and they just want a voice on there as to what's going on from our end, and really it's really a hands-off from our perspective. We're just there monitoring what's going on to see what they're going to try to help provide for, again, our neediest kids in that. It's usually a Zoom meeting you can attend in person should you choose, but for quite some time I've been attending the Zoom meetings as opposed to getting up and going in person. But if you'd like that responsibility, we'll gladly.
It's up
No,
to you.
it's okay, you don't want that, trust me.
Right, so Head Start, the Baker Center and the Head Start program in the different elementary schools meets once a month, and we kind of go over, data and how they spend their money. A lot of their funding is grant funding and stuff like that, so maybe once a month. And we do report back during workshops of, on, each meeting, and Kristen usually posts it on Board Docs, so
Maybe 2 years up, John,
yes.
so we're gonna have to be looking at, and Kara's done it and I've done it.
I haven't
so-
done it
You
yet, so I
haven't
think
done it?
I'm next in the rotation.
Okay, I didn't know if Wendy had done it yet.
I have not done it yet.
Okay.
Which one?
Baker.
Baker, or I can't either way.
Baker's,
Right now?
Yeah,
well,
Well,
again.
yeah, whenever it rolls off.
November it'll roll on, and, but by statute, we're not allowed to do it again, is my understanding, by federal statute.
Didn't know that. It's good to know. I'm definitely,
That's Head Start.
That's Head Start,
and that's at the Baker Center.
actually, and even if you're not involved in that one, you have to go to Christmas to watch Santa on the fire truck. It's
Little
absolutely
ones, it's very
amazing.
sweet. They have lots of babies there, so it's very cute when you get to see all the little itty
They're
bitties.
lucky, and they do a good job there, and there's the new director there, so he's gonna be good, so. So whose name am I putting?
I probably should do that one. But that won't start till November, right? Okay, I can do it.
Well, you just, if you.
No,
want-
I'll
oh,
wait till
okay,
our
okay.
term's officially over and then I will start
And
going.
we don't wanna run over that 2 year.
No. Wanna make sure you get your full
All right,
time.
thank you, that'll give me some time to button things up.
But wait, he just wants to check and you're losing?
Give me
Wait a
another
second.
roll.
Wait a second.
And then we talked about legislative liaison, Palm Board of Chamber, and then the School Health Advisory Committee, I sit on that. And that's Jen Cox McKinney, who heads up all of the nurses and the school nursing. She brings, and we partner with Dr. Pepe with the health department, and we talk about all things, what's going on, kids with vaccinations.
Well, for now.
Yeah.
How often do you meet from that? Is it once?
Once a quarter.
Once a quarter?
Yeah, it's a nice meeting. I enjoy it.
By the way, I rolled off and I think Wendy is stepping into that one. Okay.
What does the legislative liaison do?
So Kim we just kind of created that a few years ago, but I mean, essentially just,
Karen works with with our
Like a lot of
lobbyists
driving.
and and she meets with the lobbyists outside of session to build that relationship over a long period of time. And also she brings in the superintendent, she makes all kinds of good connections and builds the relationships, and I would say that is a very crucial role for Charlotte County Public Schools because of all the work that Kim did. She kind of started that and laid that foundation, and Kara's a great fit for that, coming in and continuing that relationship. And then also meeting with some of the lobbyists that we have up in Tallahassee. So meeting with those lobbyists, and then also some of our senators and House representatives out in congressmen.
And we have a lunch next Monday with representatives, next Thursday with representative, talk about our potential appropriation.
And
Giving-
anything else you wanna add?
No, I-
Giving Kim her due for that, because it has made a major difference in
Yes.
what we have. She did an amazing job, and it was neglected before she stepped up, so we do appreciate her efforts. But there's gonna come a time, because of term limits, when you may be the man in charge.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, I think you need to keep your eye on that and really keep it on the pulse, because we're probably gonna look as a district for you to step up at some time and probably be the leader in that particular end on the backside of.
well, and it's important for all of us
Yes,
too to have
well,
those good relationships.
no doubt about it.
And we have some great representatives and a great senator right now who have been amazing partners with us, so.
But I would hate to ever see it lapse back to the
Yes.
neglect it had before,
Yes.
is all I'm
Yeah.
trying to point out. I was part of that neglect, so that's why I'm speaking up.
All right, and the value adjustment board, did we talk about that one already?
Basically, it's, Kim's not here to tell you, it's just a meeting once a year. People that complain about what their taxes have been at, they have hearings set. You basically attend the hearing. If there's anything to be presented beforehand, they'll provide you the information regarding that. There was an attorney from the Value Adjustment Board that, actually from Paul Polk's office, that will come and actually handle that particular hearing. you really don't do a whole lot. There's 3 people on that particular board, and you just make a determination after you've heard it. And 99 times out of 100, the presentation put on by Paul Polk's office handles the situation for you.
So who's gonna do that then? Cause Kim
I mean, I
was,
can step
you
up.
wanna be, cause you were the alternate?
I don't wanna be, but
I know.
I'll move up and whoever,
wants
we'll
to
need
be
an
an
alternate
alternate?
then.
I can be the alternate
That
then.
would be Roger with the accounting background that Tony has. I think that would be an excellent choice.
Okay.
And I'll reach out on the YMCA and see what I can find out. Dave's in North Carolina right now, so.
I did hear our steering committee, our district strategic plans steering committee.
Oh, that's not on here, but I am on it right now. Is it on here? No. And so just the strategic, why don't you explain that one?
So we have 4 priority areas, which you will hear at each upcoming workshop next several months here. And this is a parent group that helps oversee the fidelity of our plans. There are 4 subgroups that work independently, but we all come together for this upcoming year. We'll meet 3 times. It's a really good way, Tony, this may be something that you may wanna get involved in, because it'll give you a real good feel for how each subgroup, subcommittee, each of the 4 priority areas are working together for our overall district priorities. Again, we'll meet 3 times, and we're gonna make a concerted effort this year to really improve the number of stakeholders that sit at the table and provide us feedback.
I think it would be good for Tony.
Yeah, you would learn a lot.
That's quarterly?
Yeah, I did it last, cause Wendy couldn't.
Okay.
I loved it. I would be
Right,
happy to
and
do
I
it
couldn't
too.
make it to that
Yeah, I know if
meeting.
you wanna stay on it, or I'm happy to, that was very interesting.
What is the name of that one?
I don't mind staying on it, I just thought it would be good for Tony as a new school board member to kind of get that behind the scenes.
Sounds good. What was the name of that?
Just, the
That's a
Strategic Plan Steering Committee.
Right, every workshop will also provide an update, I think, well, I know in September, priority area 1.
So there you have it. Those are your other, what they never give you the unwritten rule, the other board assignments you get with coming onto the board. Congratulations.
Do you know when the next meeting is on that?
We do, it's scheduled, it is, oh gosh, I believe the end of September. I don't have the date off the top of my head. Maybe early October, the next steering committee meeting.
Next steering.
Donna Barrett on that one?
She is not, but she may be asked. Actually, I don't think we've sent out the calendar invite yet.
We haven't.
It might be, if it is, it's the only committee she's not on in the county.
All right, do you have any questions then on anything?
No, ma'am.
Baker? Policy.
So
Oh, wait, we
those-
greater Florida.
Consortium.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Basically, you'll see that the last year's program, legislative program, was there as the guiding points. I'll be going up to 17th and 18th. If there's anything any of you want to add, detract, or what have you, you'll see the forms that are on there to submit anything, please. My goal when I get there, and have been for 14 years, is less is more. I try to restrict them, but they don't, it's like herding cats. It really is. I think those of you that have attended one of those understand what I'm saying. It's really, when you have that many people with that many different focus groups directing them, it's difficult to limit them. But again, anything you think is necessary, or any of you think is necessary for our district legislatively that you want me to take up, will do. I'll reach out to Andrea, as I always do, to try to correlate with what FSBA is doing at the same time, so we try not to cross anything or neglect anything that they're addressing. So, there's a meeting annually in September or August that deals with that, and then we're under a short term, but that's, as I was saying before, if Miami puts something in that legislative program that we absolutely cannot live with, if we say no, it goes back to them and it gets pulled right out of the legislative platform for FSBA. Or not FBS, excuse me, for the consortium, pulled right out. Now, their district can still promote for it, lobby for it all they want, but the consortium will not lobby for it. in that perspective as part of their agenda that's been pulled by us.
Speaking of real quick, just, FSBA, they opened up for their legislative proposals to go on the FSBA legislative platform, so if there's anything you all obviously can submit individually, or if you want me to submit anything on behalf of the board, I'll have to look and see what the date is for the last day to include anything, but,
September the fourth.
Yeah,
that
September
what it is?
4th is
Okay.
ours as well. It's the
Yeah.
same thing with
okay.
us.
So if there's anything that you're like, you don't wanna submit, you want me to submit on behalf of us, I'm more than happy to. I know last year we did the Family Empowerment Scholarship, pulling that out of through us, and so I'll probably submit that one again, cause
I think
I'm
we
sure
said
that'll
that.
be in there again anyways, but I'll make sure to submit it too.
It's gonna be-
Not that it's gonna make
But we
movement,
got- we
but
put
it's
it
still
on the
important.
Lobbyists.
Yeah, and that's something we all agree on, so.
So FSBA, their legislative platform, so we have a consortium platform, our own platform, and then Florida School Boards Association. And Florida School Boards Association, anybody can submit anything, and then they get together, and it has to benefit the whole state. It's something that the whole state, it affects just everybody, not just one district or one area.
Okay.
So that's.
Every district is a part of FSBA.
Not
No,
every,
not every
most.
district, there are about 4 or 5 that are not.
Does it have to benefit the whole state or just the members?
It
of-
has to be applicable to the whole state.
Yeah,
To every district, to every public school. So in Charlotte County, for instance, the aviation, when we were advocating for aviation and going after that, that's not something that the whole state's going after. So that wouldn't be something on FSBA's platform. They would not advocate for that.
But are there any other consortiums in the district that
There
combine?
are other consortiums, yes, there are 2 others that I'm aware of. There's one in the Panhandle, and there's one, it's called the I-4 connection. It goes across there. And I'll be frank, Kim actually lobbied at one point to leave the one we were in and consider joining the I-4 because she thought we had more in common with them. But the way those districts are growing with, even Polk is growing so huge, so quickly, I don't see where it really changes that much. But it's certainly something we could look at if this group feels that we would be better suited for that particular consortium. I've got a comfort level with the other one from so long involvement with them.
No, I didn't bring it up for that.
So that's okay. I mean, certainly we need to look at and we may even consider both of them. I don't know. I mean, there's no reason you can't be part of both consortiums. There's zero reason it would cost another $2,000 or $3,000 fee, so that would be a reason perhaps not to. But other than that, if we thought we got another lobbyist or 2 or more voice in Tallahassee, we might want to consider it. I can certainly reach out and look into that one if you're interested.
Do the Greater Consortium hire new lobbyists?
Well, primarily, they haven't, but the real plus has been Tom's daughter has come in now. She retired from Miami-Dade, and she is now the major lobbyist for the Florida Consortium.
Okay, different last name.
Different last name,
That's what was thrown.
but she absolutely is the brains behind the throne, in my humble opinion. Bob and Tom and John do okay, but she really is on top of things. I usually get 2 or 3 phone calls a month from her as opposed to when I worked with them before. So she does seem to have more concern for our input than I was getting previously.
That's great. All right.
I didn't realize that was his daughter. She's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right, now Baker
Oh, sign
policy.
the big policy, okay. So, when you get into your import docs, you have the May and the June minutes. So take, if you have any questions, just let me know. Go from there.
All right. Tentative workshop? All right. Pass it back to you.
All right,
sir.
thank you, Vice Chair.